When I saw a moth that looked exactly like the bark it's sitting on, when I saw a panther that's such an exquisitely designed hunter, when I saw an antelope that was exquisitely designed to escape from predators, everywhere you look in the living world, it has apparent design written all over it. It was only when I understood that Darwin had an alternative explanation, a much better explanation. It isn't design at all. It's produced by the non-random process called Darwinian natural selection. Once I understood that, there was no longer any need for God. God became unnecessary and superfluous.
Why didn't you end up in a situation where you thought, well, maybe God started it all off?
The idea that God just began the process of evolution and then sat back and did nothing, that's very unpersuasive, because Darwin solved the big problem. The apparent design of living creatures is the really big problem. Having got rid of God for the big problem, why would you smuggle him in for just a little problem right at the very beginning? It's much, much easier to say that simple things just happen than to say that complex things just happen.
Do you still think evolution disproves the existence of God? Because famed biologist Richard Dawkins does, and if you would just give me 2 minutes, I'll tell you why he's wrong and why you're wrong. And if you disagree with me, let me know why. This is a classic mix-up between mechanism and agency. Dawkins is absolutely right. Evolution explains how species adapt. But just because we understand how something works doesn't mean there's no designer behind it. Natural selection may explain the process, but it doesn't explain where life comes from in the first place or why anything exists at all. Evolution starts after life begins. It doesn't answer the deeper questions. Saying that now that we understand evolution, there's no need for a God is like saying now that we understand how a car engine works, there's no need for an engineer. That's not science, it's philosophy dressed up as science. But here's the really crazy part. Dawkins calls trying to understand the origins of life a, quote, little problem. That cannot possibly be honest. The beginning of life is one of the biggest mysteries in all of the universe and of science, and it's anything but small. At the moment, there's no clear natural explanation for how life came from non-life. Now, I'm not saying that we can absolutely prove that God did it, but there's no proof that he didn't either. The big question is, how did we get here? And to answer that, we have to look at different kinds of evidences and ask different kinds of questions and let the best hypothesis win. Evolution doesn't cancel God, but it might just prove the brilliance of his design.